Hello, my name is Sebbi, and welcome back to the coffee break in Minecraft. Today is Wednesday, May 16th, 2018. I see a lot of creepers. Are hiding between the green grass, between the green tall grass, so that's dangerous. I better grab the bed and the torches and continue on towards my home area, because I'm still on the expedition. The expedition with a goal to, that's interesting, to find a Mesa biome, and yeah, we were successful. We got a lot of rails, and now it's the long way back home, and yeah, we find a lot of interesting terrain during this journey, such as this mountain. This looks... Ooh, creeper. Speaking of creepers, let's get the sniper out and kablooey! Alright, let's sniper him again. Nice, very nice. Alright, sweet XP. This is a cool mountain. That's nice. It's super interesting. Alright, so yeah, May 16th. We're already in the middle of the month of May. What is going on? That's crazy. That's just overwhelming. Why is time flying again? I mean, time always flies, but ooh, look at this, and wow, we have some new formation of terrain. There's some lava coming down the hill. That's cool. And what's going to happen when the lava hits the? Oh dear, this thing is getting quite extensive. All right, now we are having. That's cool. We are really witnessing how new terrain generates. Sweet. That's sweet. Cool. That's pretty impressive. Okay. It's cool. Nice. This is cool. It's true terrain generation. Nice. Well, that's awesome. Sweet. Sweet. Very sweet. Cool. I like that. Nice that we saw this. Very nice that we saw this. Cool. Yeah, time flies, and unfortunately, I don't even have something to talk about. Well, I do have a few things, but nothing special has happened. The Formula 1 race was nice. It also was Mother's Day, as I found out a little bit too late. Just a little bit too late. Usually I have a phone call with my parents every Sunday, because that's a good day to have a phone call with your parents, right? I mean, there we have a fixed appointment, more or less, and this is for me quite nice to well, schedule this, or to put it into my schedule, because often I don't really have a plan what is coming up next, and I just live as I go, basically. And then it often happens that they call in the worst moment or so, and yeah, having a fixed appointment for a weekly phone call is quite nice. And it happened that the phone call was over without me realizing, hey, it's Mother's Day. So, oh dear. Luckily, I was reminded that yeah, today is Mother's Day, and yeah, thank you so much to my lifesaver who really saved my life by mentioning this. So I fixed the problem, and I'm still alive, as you can hear. So yeah, that's good. That's definitely good. Yeah, Monday was crazy. I will talk a little bit about this when I start to answer some of Matthew's questions. I totally overlooked them, and I feel really sorry that I overlooked them. But I'm glad that I did, because they are quite topical for this episode. Because yesterday the second run of an experiment has started. Well, the second run means that this is the experiment I did last year in fall, as we haven't had so much time and we submitted this to this one particular VR conference. So yeah, we are redoing this study to, well, we have improved a little bit the design, and this has started yesterday. Unfortunately, some of the participants weren't appearing. This was bad that they haven't showed up. On the other hand, we also had some technical glitches, which also resulted in a loss of a few participants, but we still have a lot of more dates scheduled, so that's good. So I hope we get some good results. It would be nice. But yeah, so let's go to the good old questions. Matthew asks, what are the steps that you take to prepare an experiment? Like you review the material, make a rehearsal? Yes, indeed. Well, what are the steps? It depends. It depends on what you want to research. In my case, it's often something about maybe the usability of your system or the effectivity of your system or so. So at first I have to decide what exactly do I want to find out? What exactly do I like to, what hypothesis do I like to validate with my experiment? And that's of course the first step, because this step determines how the entire experiment has to be designed. And once I have decided this, we come to the next steps. In this very case, it's about the usability of some travel techniques in VR, which we are researching. So we want to do a usability test, which means we want that users use our travel techniques and then rate them in terms of mental demand, physical demand, in terms of intuitive use, preference. We also measure the time they need in order to complete one experimental session, because this also gives us some information about, okay, this travel technique, it's super fast, and when they also prefer this one, then it's probably the best and the superior, just a good travel technique. So that's what we do in this very case. And this then means, okay, we want to analyze, we want to see how those travel techniques work. This means we need to implement them into a system, and the system has to provide an incentive to use this travel technique. And this incentive, of course, has to be quite simple, so that it does not distract the participants from the thing they shall observe and test. In our case, we have basically some balls. We have 3 spheres, and once you touch those spheres, you change their color, and their normal or their real color is hidden. So the participants have to travel to the spheres, touch them, reveal the color, and then enter the color that was in higher abundance into a color confirmation console, or however you want to call this. So in the end, it's just, okay, you do this over and over, and you have to use the travel technique to reach those spheres, and that's basically the design. So in this case, at first, think about what exactly do you want to find out, and then think about how you can decide, or how you can make sure and ensure that the participant is using what you want to measure and test in a very controlled way and in a undistracted way, because if there are too many distractions or so, it might have a confounding effect on the measurements. Then, of course, as I said, we want to do some usability testing. So we go for the questionnaires we want to use, like the NASA TLX or the Quasi. That's an intuitive use questionnaire, or in our special case, we also use an illusion of virtual body ownership questionnaire, because we also give the participants a virtual body inside of the VR environment, and so they have a virtual representation of themselves. When they look down, they see arms where they have arms, so virtual arms, and this really gives the illusion of having a virtual body, which is also cool. And yeah, we select those questionnaires and we prepare the questionnaires using an online survey tool. This of course is an important step. And wait, let me just, that I don't overlook a question or so. Like you review the material, make a rehearsal. Do you follow a script? Is it a research assistant who interact with the participants, or do it yourself? All right, those are the three questions I will answer during this very long monologue. So once we have everything in place, we prepare a script, and we do those scripts. Well, we create them ourselves. We have some kind of procedure where we then say, okay, first step is welcome the participant. So the participant gets welcomed. The next step would be sign a consent form. So the experiment conductor has basically a clear procedure what has to do when and how, so that we have the same condition for everyone. And this is also an essential step. This script then gets tested multiple times. So at first we do it ourselves. We just see, does it make sense? Is it good? Is it working? And yes, we use, well, partly. Sometimes I also do the experiments myself, but in this very case we have some research assistants, and we make a rehearsal with them. We also make a dress rehearsal with them, basically, to test the procedure, to introduce them to the entire experiment. This looks nice. Is there some mountain up there, or is this just what is going up? Ooh, there's some water coming up. That's neat. We do some rehearsals. I'm super intrigued by the scenery. That's cool. To find out if there is a flaw in the design, or if everyone understands what has to be done when and how. So that's basically what we do. And then once we're happy and the system is running without any issues and the research assistants are introduced and prepared, we invite the participants, and the study begins. So I'm really surprised by this mountain. That's cool to have this fragmented mountain. It looks like a little bit as if this is like an explosion of a volcano or so, and those pieces of rock are shot into the sky or so. They are launched into the sky like a rocket. That's crazy and cool. I like this. So much cool terrain. So much great stuff. So over there seems to be more of the. Ooh, and over there, wow! At first I need to go over there, and then I need to check the other side. That's amazing. This is great. This is cool. All those great things we find. And wow, that's neat. And of course, I also did some experiments myself. So where I was the one dealing with the participants, it really depends on the amount of time that has to be invested in the experiment. And this one, for instance, we are doing right now, one session takes roughly an hour. We want to have 40 or more participants, which means 40 or more hours, which is a lot of time, which is really a lot of time when I think about how much time what I would otherwise do in this time. So it's much cheaper to have research assistants, of course, to do all those experiments, and hence we use them. But sometimes I'm also, or even in the past, I did this, and it's also interesting to deal with participants, to have a quick chat with them. But it's really a tough work, because sure, it's fun, but on the other hand, you're sitting an entire day just inside of the lab, and you watch them doing this same thing over and over and over again. And at some point, you just think, okay, that's great. That's science, but it's a little bit too much science for me right now. So yeah, and then once everything is over, once we have all the questionnaires filled out, all the data logged, the interesting phase of analyzing the data starts, which is also fun. And there, once again, you, of course, go back to your initial step where you think about, okay, what exactly do I like to find out? Do I want to see if they improved? So have I done a pre-test, post-test scenario where I can compare groups? Do I have multiple measurements so that I have to see, okay, what was the best travel technique in our case or so. So yeah, there you have then to think about, okay, what are now the best ways to analyze all the data I generated to find out what I want to find out. And that's also an important step. I think this really explains or answers your question. So it really starts from the beginning, where you just have, okay, I have a certain idea, I like to investigate this, and you need to create a way or a method or a means how you can use what you want to test. In our case, we had the idea for travel techniques, and we developed the system. Once we had the system, at the same time, we also thought about, okay, how we can measure it. So what questionnaires to use, what ways of measuring, how to log the data, how to store the data. Once everything is in place and you did a lot of testing that the system is running and has no bugs, but everything is fine, you start to come up or to develop a protocol where where student workers and research assistants can just follow this protocol, that everyone is treated equally. Also, it's quite important to make sure that no steps are left out. For instance, in our case with VR, the participants have to wear an HMD, a head-mounted display. But when they wear such a head-mounted display for some time, I mean, you want to clean the thing, because that's also a thing I noticed myself when I used an HMD where a girl that used some makeup used this HMD, then sometimes it has a smell like the makeup. And I mean, there you can really think, okay, that's no longer hygienic or so. So one of the important steps inside of their procedure is clean the HMD, and in the best case scenario, do it in front of the eyes of the participant before you hand over the HMD, because this then really gives the impression, all right, they're caring for me. They are doing something to ensure that everything is hygienic. And I mean, that's also an important step, or which basically is obvious, but it's not bad to write this into the procedure. Inform the participants when you approach them, when you touch them, for instance, when they have to wear the tracking equipment and you want to adjust the position of a particular tracker. So, I mean, when the experiment conductor is of the male gender and the participant is of the female gender, then, or even if both are of the same gender, just inform the participant, okay, I'm going to touch you and I'm doing this because of I like to adjust the tracker or so. This also leaves a good impression, and this is also a thing, or you don't want to have any conflict there where you in the end have a problem like, all right, there was some sexual harassment or something like this going on. I mean, that would be a worst case scenario. So you really have to make sure that you also do things right and in a good way. So those things are also important, and I think those are the important things. By the way, speaking of the script, we also prepared some kind of script of information the experiment conductor has to provide to the participant to explain how the experiment works, for instance, and so that everyone gets the same information. So we have a sheet. They just have to read out loud to inform the participants, and I think this really sums it up. And I hope this also helps you a little bit if you are in the position that you have to conduct an experiment soon or so, or plan an experiment soon, that you have those just some kind of general guideline how to do this, how to approach this, and there are so many other things. For instance, questionnaire. Right. This brings me back to Monday. Questionnaires are cool. Often there are also validated questionnaires. This means some scientist has thought, okay, we can measure a certain effect using those questions, and they tested it, they made sure that the results are valid, and yada yada yada. They wrote a paper, and you want to use this questionnaire, which of course is a good way, because then you create values or results that are comparable to other experiments, which is super cool. I mean, that's exactly what you want. You want to have comparability. But then there's a question, okay, some questionnaires don't have, like in most online survey tools, where you have just a radio box where you select a value and say, okay, I have a 5, or I give this thing a value of 5 or so. Then okay, that's cool, that's awesome. But sometimes you also have some kind of scale where they can mark somewhere, and not just specific values. So you then have to think about, okay, how to do this at best. Or in our special case, most questionnaires are of course provided in English. However, we do have German participants, so this results in the fact that we need to translate the questionnaire. But once the questionnaire is translated, is it still the same? Has it still the same meaning as the English version? So that's also a problem. This was a problem that kept me busy, or that kept us busy, my colleague and I, on Monday, until we really were happy with our questionnaire. So that's also an interesting and important step. And so we come to the end of this very episode. It was the experiment episode. I hope you learned something. I hope you really have some ideas now how how to conduct an experiment, what to do, how to prepare it, and yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this episode, and I hope you will be joining me next time. So, thank you so much for watching. Until then, my name is Sebbi. See you!